Midweek update. I am here right now with Representative Melanie Stennett. Thank you so much for down. I got to stop myself right there. I have a hillbilly dialect. You have an enlightened, educated Springfieldian's tone. I have a simple West Butler County hillbilly tone. Is it Stennett? Is it Stennett? Help me out here.
It's Stennett.
Stennett. So I got it right the
You
first.
got it right the
Good
first
deal.
time.
Been
Great
practicing, but I wasn't quite sure. A hell of a freshman trip around the track, huh?
Sure, thanks.
What else you get done?
Absolutely. Well, several bills got a postpartum extension bill passed, which was really
What's that
exciting. They've been working on that for several years in
Explain
the
it to
state.
me like I'm a guy.
Sure. So in the state of Missouri, prior to the passage of this bill, mothers had coverage for 60 days of health care. And then after that could just be dropped off. This gives them a full year of health care. We know for moms that are needing that care after they've had a baby, the risks and the complications with health care go well beyond 60 days. So it's a big win for moms, a big pro-life win in our state.
It kind of, to me, people talk about the word pro-life's put on a lot of stuff. That actually, if you're going to say, hey, don't have an abortion, it's a bad thing, it's wrong, we're making it illegal. Man, that can almost seem callous to some folks.
Sure.
When you follow it up with something like that you're saying, okay, we're going to do everything we can do to encourage you to have this baby, but it's not just going to stop when you have this baby. We're going to try to come in and help. That to me makes the pro-life cause a lot more compelling. I think it opens up some folks that, because I do think Republicans are sometimes open to the criticism of, you're obsessed with somebody having this baby, but if they have this baby, you tell them get the hell out of here.
Sure. We hear that criticism a lot, and I think this was a bill that went in the right direction for moms, but also we followed it up. I put some money in the budget for doula services, and we're looking at expanding a statewide doula program.
Explain that to me like I'm a guy.
Sure. So doula
Explain
services.
It's like you're talking to real Doug, not flat Doug.
So doula services are that community health worker that comes alongside a mom, makes sure that she has the access to the healthcare she needs, helps her get to those appointments, does those things that a supportive person would do for these moms. But a lot of these moms don't have maybe a husband with them or other support from their family to help them. And so they're at a higher risk for maternal mortality and bad things happening to them. So we want to look at seeing if we can expand that program to being a statewide program and not just kind of putting some Band-Aids on some specific areas of the state. Right now, St. Louis and Kansas City had funding. We're expanding that to Springfield and Southwest Missouri. But I think that's something that people throughout our state should have access to if they're really in one of those places where they're at higher risk.
There again, I think, this state is generally pro-life, but maybe not as pro-life as some of the laws are. But if you had some of these other programs, it just to me takes away some of the criticisms that are leveled at Republicans that aren't just your typical, but that may have some merit to them.
Sure. And you have on the other side conservatives criticizing, spending too much money. But these are programs that help people stay out of foster care, that help mothers stay alive. Those are the things that we want to be spending money on in our state.
People think of Springfield, they think, oh, John Ashcroft, Roy Blunt, all Republicans, Mel Hancock, everybody, Mavis Busick, they're all Republicans down there. Nobody's worried about it. That's not the case in the city of Springfield.
Sure.
And not just, now you have Crystal's district. You've had Betsy's district. Now you've got another district that's flipped. Your district is a very competitive district.
It is.
When the abortion issue comes up, Republican primary voters, the intensity's always been on being pro-life. Is there any concern that maybe the current law is out of step with folks in your district and maybe the overall part of the state? Maybe they're pro-life, but maybe they're not as pro-life as that law is.
Well, Scott, I knocked a lot of doors in my district. In fact, I knocked through my district twice completely.
Now tell folks, if we were down, let's say we were over at Cliff Smart's office at the college, how would we get to your district?
So southwest. So you just drive a little southwest. I'm in that southwest quadrant of Springfield, all in the city of Springfield.
60, come over. So 60, right on 60 is the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. And if you haven't been there, listen to your old hillbilly pal. They have a life-size Whitey Herzog that gives a speech. I'll put it online. It is just, it's the most inspiring thing. It's like when a Catholic person sees the Pope. For a German American, it is this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing where Whitey Herzog comes to life and gives a speech. It's worth, the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame is worth the price just to see the Whitey thing, honestly. They should put that up on the first day of Oktoberfest. Well, just pay homage to it. It is wonderful. So I assume you've taken your kids by multiple times.
Yep, absolutely.
I've taken Gus. He cried. We watched it multiple times. The other people like, there's other things to see, and we're like,
No.
we're good. We're seeing what we came to see. It's like you go to France, it's the Eiffel Tower, right?
Sure.
You're going to see a bunch of crappy paintings. I mean, so yeah, no, it is interesting, and I sometimes think in a supermajority, the worry isn't about winning a seat like that. And they used to think that about Martin Matisse's old seat in St. Louis County. They used to think that about some of the seats in Springfield, some of the seats in the Northland, and some of the seats like in Baldwin and West County. It's sometimes hard to come to Jeff City to think there are people that are pro-choice. And really not even that, I think. There are people that are pro-life, but maybe not as pro-life as some of the existing law is.
Sure. And as I was saying, when I was knocking through my district, honestly, it didn't actually come up as often. The things that came up the most were crime and
I don't think
other
regular
things
people
like
want
that.
to sit and talk about that. Do you?
No.
I mean,
no.
I think that people have their opinions.
Absolutely.
But I think regular folks, their idea of a good time, hey, let's talk about abortion for a while.
Sure.
You know what I mean? To me, it would surprise me if just in real life, people come up and start talking about stuff like that. Yeah. They'd be pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. I just think the people that aren't activists are like, that's kind of a private conversation. I really don't want to have a stranger on my doorstep. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now that may be different if there's an election campaign and Roe v. Wade it's brought it to the national conscience a little bit more. But I just think overall, man, that ain't my idea of a good time to talk about abortion.
No.
So let's stop. Let's stop and thank Brian, my buddy in Columbia, gave me this. I've got Brian, I'm not been ducking you. I don't know how to do. You were so kind to give me 8 years of Budweiser Christmas steins. I'm appreciative of every single one of them. Thank you.
It's a nice one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It comes a little fast.
I poured too fast.
If you're gonna go do it, you gotta twist it. Then I found a couple more of these little gems. My buddy Billy, old carpentry buddy, and my politics talking buddy, Mike Liebeyer.
Liebeyer.
So everyone's heard the name Sarah Steelman, right? Well, she won back before term limits. Liebeyer was the Senate Appropriations Chairman. Highly powerful position. You know one of them from your neck of the woods.
Sure do.
Sarah Steelman ran against him and beat him like a drum. There's one up here that says I like Liebeyer. Well, not as much as they like Steelman back in the day. Thank you. That's one I found, Billy. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. Very appreciative of you sending me these. I will treasure these. Kenny Holsoff, a guy, Charleston, Southeast Missouri roots. They get the farm down there. So somehow his wife shares her location with me on this thing called Snapchat. And I don't think Renee actually knows she's sharing her location with me. I could be.
Probably
she can
not.
have my location too. I'm not. Both Renee and I are old enough that there's a lot of things that can happen on these apps that I have no idea about. But I see Renee down in Charleston every so often because when I'm down in Powder Bluff, I'll for some reason I guess there's 3 people that have Snapchat and all of Southeast Missouri, and Renee and I would be the 2 of the 3. So Renee, I appreciate it, but I don't know that you know that I could tell when you're in Charleston. And maybe you could tell where I am, which would be a scary thought for me personally. But it is interesting. Her husband, Kenny also ran for governor of Congress of Northeast Missouri. Thanks again, Bo. This is very thoughtful. Thank you so much. Let's move on and talk a little bit about session.
Sure.
You've done one of these, right?
One.
But I guess, to me, I'm a dinosaur. There's an old Hank Williams Jr. song about being a dinosaur. If you told me the government would pass fewer laws, I'd be like, dope. Done. That's a great idea. You should pass fewer laws. That's to catch on. But I see people. I thought you guys had a lot of things you did this year. You taxed, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
You rebuild I-70. And then people look back and say, "Well, this was a failure." Well, that's a failure. I mean, geez.
Sure. I mean, I think you can look at it a couple of different ways.
Hell, you passed half the laws that got done.
So, you can look at it a couple different ways. You can look at it as, we passed fewer bills. We screwed up less stuff than maybe they have in years past.
There you go.
But I think the things that we did pass were transformative things. You mentioned I-70, some other infrastructure things.
Your entire chapters of laws that you passed, those?
Sure. Yeah, I passed some ticket to work legislation for individuals with disabilities to get them in our workforce.
So tell me what happens now. I mean, people keep track of this. People know. So you come in, freshman, competitive district. I'm sure people want to see you do well, but I mean, that's not enough to actually pass stuff. That's enough to maybe get some stuff through a committee or whatever.
Sure.
So you get this stuff done. You have a great session. Do you have people now coming down to Springfield, the southwest corner, one to see the Whitey Herzog talking statue?
Yes,
which is
always.
Great. And then now they want you. I guess the invitations to handle bills have went up a great deal.
Sure, absolutely. But I'm going to be pretty selective.
It's a compliment, though, right?
Yeah, it
I mean, these people
absolutely
are
is.
coming to you because they think you'll get it done. Not
Absolutely.
For, you know.
Yep. But I filed things that really mattered to me, and I think it showed because I put my full effort behind them. And so I think that's what people can expect from me, and that's what I committed to my district I would do is really work on things that are going to change things in day-to-day life for people.
All right. Running again, presidential year.
Yeah.
Close district.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about going into that?
I'm just thinking about highlighting what I've done, what I continue to want to do for my district, and working hard as I've shown I already will. I really enjoy knocking doors, actually, which is a strange thing. I know most people are like, oh, I don't want to go out and do this, but I love
like
meeting people.
Yeah. That's totally nuts.
I love meeting people and just having the conversations.
In the fall when it's a little nicer because you have a.
I do.
That's probably a little bit of it. Yeah, I mean it's hot.
That's fair.
It's humid in Missouri in the summer. If you like doors, I wonder.
Yeah. The people in the summer this past year almost died, literally. I mean, it was so hot last summer. I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah, the Republicans all of a sudden believe in global warming because they're having to knock doors. It's not that global warming is easier to believe when you're out knocking doors. Speaking of your area, so right now you got 3 folks running for governor.
Sure.
You got Lieutenant Governor Kehoe. You got State Senator Eigel, who I got to tell you, I think Eigel's probably running the best campaign of any.
He's working.
And, as far as an orator goes, I don't think the party has a better orator than Eigel. And I think folks may be a little surprised Friday when those reports come out. I think Bill may do pretty well. Be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Then Jay Ashcroft, who's I know he ran for state senate in St. Louis. He's a Jeff City guy.
Sure.
His dad, but I mean, he's got. When I think the Ashcroft name, you think of the farm down there in Greene County.
Yeah, Southwest Mo.
Now you got Crystal Quaid. Let's say Ramirez running.
Yeah.
The convention was going to be a Democrat's a very much a long shot, and that certainly seems the case.
Sure.
How do you think she'll do?
I think she'll put in the work and the effort. I think she's proven herself to be a hard worker, but I think it's an uphill battle, and in Greene County, we've got, the strong Ashcroft name. And so we'll see where things land.
And she is from Webster County. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
The blunt, Roy's from Webster County too, and he did okay in Greene County.
Well,
But I mean, she is from Webster County. It's like kind of like Lyndall Frager coming over and trying to run,
Very true.
Carla May and Josh Hawley. Now, look, I think Josh Hawley's going to get reelected with a large cushion. He probably could do nothing.
But are you going to throw a watch party for the debate?
I'm actually going to watch it if it's Carla May.
Sure.
I like Wesley Bell. I don't know Lucas Kuntz that well, but he seems like a talented guy. Quentin Lucas, I do like, but Quentin would not go into a debate. And see, and I've known Carla May for a while, and I really do just think the world of her. And she reminds me of my mom. If my mom had that cadence, my mom's got the cadence of a Pentecostal when she gets fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Carla has the cadence. I don't know what the cadence would be, but I know it's unique to Carla, where she starts quoting scriptures at you and asking, "Can you feel me?" Can you? I mean, just think. Can you imagine the Ivy League educated, very prim and proper Josh Hawley, who's a very good debater, very intelligent, think on his feet. I mean, that's just of his strong suits. Those are some of the top ones, which I think he may live down there by you somewhere now, right?
Sure. Yep, he does.
Yeah. Then Carla May. So look, everybody can act like they're going to show up on TV and be this charismatic, but that ain't easy. That red light comes on that camera, and I think Senator May, we've never seen her do it before, but she's got a lot of practice on Senate floor. But there's only one way to be in a national United States Senate debate. You have to do it. She's never done it before. So she could get quiet and not rise to the occasion. But if she came with her A game, if Carla May showed up, what little reporter is going to interrupt Carla May? Ain't going to happen, right?
Sure.
And is Josh Hawley going to interrupt her? Probably not, because he knows he just needs to get out of here and not say anything dumb, and he's going to go back to Washington and win by 20 points. But I think Carla can become a national sensation. I mean, she starts quoting scriptures to him, starts asking, "Can you feel me, Josh?" Yeah. I mean, if I'm Josh Hawley, the one person I really don't want to be running against is Carla. Not that I think I won't win, but that she's funny and she's charismatic and she's interesting and Quentin is all those things. But against Josh Hawley, Carla May would be like, if I'm on Josh Hawley's camp, I probably don't care really, but I'd probably rather not deal with her.
Sure. I think that's fair.
And Kuntz, I mean, I know they spent some money against him, and look, I think Lucas Kuntz is obviously talented dude, raise money, but I just don't see it, right? I mean, I look forward to having him on the show. I think he's a compelling guy, but I don't see him winning, right? I don't see anybody else winning either, but I do see Carla being like just eminently watchable while this. It'll be the best part. It'd be more interesting if Carla does it.
Sure.
Now, Quentin's fun to watch, and Quentin's all those things, but I don't think Quentin saying, "Can you feel me?" is going to feel the same as when Carla does it.
Absolutely
And I don't
not.
think Josh Hawley hearing it from Quentin is going to be as fun as watching him hear from Carla. Because, if you're him in his head, you probably have like very intelligent Ivy League things to say back, but they'll all sound like crap. And if you just sit here for an hour and take it, you're going back to Washington, no question. So I assume he deals with enough. He'll just fight off his he'll say, well, I'm, pro-life, pro-gun, pro-taxes. I'm go Republicans, go Trump, and be out. But, I mean, it'll be tempting for him to want to engage her, which, that's a little tough briar patch.
Stay the course of the message.
Yep. Check the box, get in there, get out, or don't. Probably doesn't matter anymore. Isn't that interesting about debates?
Mm-hmm.
Used to, people would call you a coward if you couldn't show up. Now, I don't even care.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting thing. I mean, people still call you out on Twitter where it's not like real life, but like in regular life. Yeah. Nobody really says a whole lot about that.
I don't think it matters. It's interesting. Now, the Flat Dog thinks it matters, but Flat Dog, well, he's not quite as smart as real Doug. So I mean, anyway, let's I gotta take a second here. I got a card from someone here in Jeff City. Sent me this terrific RNC to St. Louis. I remember when they're working on bringing the Republican National Committee to St. Louis. I think it was Ann Wagner had this idea. I don't know exactly who was involved, but the RNC, they wanted to bring it to St. Louis in '88. Would have been George H.W. Bush's convention to run. And I got these. I got a Bush Quail sign, and I got a Speaker Newt sign. That's back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paid for by friends of Newt Gingrich. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I got this card. Scott, I know you're busy celebrating Pride Month. Well, you never know. But I wanted to pass these along. Hopefully you can find them a home amongst your vast collection of conservative propaganda campaign items. But I won't be offended if they ironically end up in a dumpster. XO Annie. They will not end up in a dumpster. I appreciate this, especially this. This is interesting. I know.
That's cool.
I've heard people tell me about the attempt to do this. I think John Ashcroft actually ran for RNC chairman. And when he didn't win that, he ran for the U.S. Senate. I think it was 94. But I know sometime in there, the early 90, 92, something like that, I think the story was he ran for RNC chairman. And then when he didn't get that, he became U.S. Senator. But I've heard people talk about there was a real effort to try to bring this here. I tried to bring the Democrat one. Gosh, it might have been 04, 08, something like that, and it didn't work out. But thank you. This will not end up in the dumpster. It will end up as part of my propaganda collection. So I appreciate it very much. Let's talk about going forward at politics. I guess Burleson's there, right?
Yeah,
he'll be there as long as he wants to be there.
Sure, absolutely.
It gets a little boring after that, right? I mean, we like competitive stuff. Presidential race. Who takes Greene County? Does the DeSantis take Greene County? Does Donald Trump take Greene County? Are you going to have a primary or not?
Am I?
Is the state?
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
So this is one of the great stories ever time. So I remember when Trump ran, I would go on the radio and I would say, look, I think Trump's going to win this primary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I'm from Southeast Missouri, so back home they were spray painting old car hoods and putting them out by the road. Sure, yeah. Vote Trump or die.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a threat or I don't know who they thought was going to kill you, but they definitely thought somebody's going to die if Trump didn't win, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just, being from where I'm from with the background I have, I get Trump. I get it.
Sure.
Which I just thought he was funny. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'd actually be president, but he's definitely hilarious, and I like good comedy as much as the next guy. But I remember that I showed up to one of these caucuses, which was just bullshit. Yeah. A caucus is total horseshit. Don't let anybody steer you differently. It is straight bullshit. And so they had some people there, and Cruz had hired, which was a tremendous honor, Jeff Rowe to run his national campaign. I mean, to have a Missourian in a place like that, what a cool thing. Yeah. But a lot of the folks that are friends with theirs kind of wanted to rig this caucus for Cruz. And so these people would show up for Trump, and they'd never been to anything for him. They somehow found this on Facebook and show up. And you have these people that have been to stuff, and they were sort of in the back for Cruz. And these people rigged this crap for Cruz. It was so funny to watch. It was just such a bullshit operation. And then, of course, it doesn't work out. Cruz doesn't win. Trump wins. And then they're all for Trump. I mean, he was the dirtiest 3-time divorced lecher. Now he's the greatest of all time. It was funny to watch them take them Cruz flags out and burn them out back, and then put that Trump flag way up and keep it. Do you think you should have a primary?
Yeah,
I do too. I
Yeah.
mean, I know it costs a little money, but
Absolutely.
all stuff costs a little money.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem.
No, I think it's important.
And stick it when you want to have it. I mean, I think having folks. I remember we had a primary when John Edwards, first ever president, and it may have been like in 08 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, John Edwards came to Poplar Bluff. That's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
He stopped at the airport or something, but that's still kind of a neat thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if he, I think he had a chance to run on and do other things in his career and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was that's a cool thing, and it'd be kind of nice if the guy remembered coming to Poplar Bluff once.
Sure.
I don't see the problem. I also think the Missouri Broadcast Association would definitely like to see a primary. Shout out to Tom Tipton, ABC 30 in St. Louis. Speaking of, we will have Crystal Quay as our special guest this week on This Week in Missouri Politics on Sunday morning on ABC 30 in St. Louis and around the state. Check your local listings. I think you should too. I thought that was a good idea Rudy had. And the caucus stuff, just don't do that. That's just dumb. You know what I mean? Just make it simple. It's like I see these alternative voting people, right? You seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's like what do you call that, Kelton? It's like
ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting. Kelton follows it. I don't get it. Like I went to this meeting and they're explaining it to me, and I'm like, like carry the two and stuff. And I'm not saying. I think it's probably like intelligent people with trying to fix a real problem, and I get it. But I'm like, Georgia seems to have an idea here. You take everybody, and they run. And whichever two folks get the most votes, run again. Whichever one of those gets the most votes wins. It just doesn't seem that hard, right? I just feel like that would be pretty easy to do.
Sure. I mean, ranked choice voting is alarming.
It's just a lot of stuff.
Yes, it's so confusing, and it doesn't give the outcome that I think is appropriate.
What do you think if instead of the way they do it now, instead of ranked choice, which I don't even try to explain, I don't actually understand all the things behind it. But what about just having like an office everybody runs, and if the top two people run again in November, and the top one of those folks, well, congratulations.
I think we just keep it the way it is.
It's not complicated now.
No. I mean, and that's the thing. I think, you give people choices in those primaries, and then they have their choice in November between, the different candidates. I don't think it has to be more complicated than that.
It seems to, Victor Callahan did all right by the state. He got elected in that process.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This Kip Bond seemed to do okay for Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
He got elected in that process. I'm kind of with you. To me, the default is always not to change stuff. But I'm old. I'm a dinosaur. I'm not a modern Republican at all, and thank God. But I do think if we're going to change it, making things more complicated, I don't think is the answer, right?
No.
And that just seems damn complicated. And again, it's probably because I'm not smart enough to understand.
Well, I mean, talk to election officials. I think they would tell you.
What's Peggy McGaw? So that's where we should start with.
Complicated.
If Peggy McGaw's against it, I'm against it too. 100%. I've got a general rule about life. If Peggy McGaw, if I'm making good choices in life, if I'm making the same decision Peggy is, which doesn't happen as much as my mom would like or I should, I'm probably gonna be okay. She should be a life coach.
She's wonderful.
Like she's just charged like $50 a problem, and you can text her the problem, and she'll just text you what to do. And I think she'd be a wealthy woman.
She probably would be.
Yeah,
she's wonderful.
But she's kept JD in line all this time, and made him a judge of all things. To shout out to the law over in Carroll County. So I mean, I just always thought, the person you'd want to talk to in life. There's two people. Really, you should get a group together and call it Holden McGaw Life Counselors. Bob Holden's the nicest person in all of politics. Again, from kind of down your neck of the woods. Bob Holden's like from every town in the state. He's born in Birch Tree, but he spent some time. He ran for office. He was a rep in Springfield, I think. He's a colleague of yours, a Greene County legislator. He's got some St. Louis on that resume somewhere, hometown. Bob Holden and Peggy McGaw, great judgment, two of the nicest people. If those two folks got together and said, Melanie, I think you should do this, and you did the other, I bet it goes poorly. If you just say, Governor Peggy, all right, good call. I think it goes well.
Mm-hmm.
So what else? What are folks talking about down in Greene County?
Well, they're talking a lot right now still about crime and things like that. Just wanting to make sure that our streets are safe. I know that people
don't get it that Springfield has crime.
Yeah, and I think it's getting better. Honestly, I think if you look at the data that the city provides us, I think it's getting better. But I think it's still a place that we need to keep an eye on and make sure it continues to improve.
Are you saying Cliff Smart should take over and be mayor?
Cliff's a wonderful guy.
I just think that's like a demotion. I told him that. I was like, I don't know that Cliff, the king of Springfield, is more the king of Springfield by being mayor than he is being king of the college.
Sure.
Because I think he's king of the town now. I don't think mayor adds.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I assume if he wants to be mayor, anybody be an idiot to run against him. He's Cliff Smart.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that all shakes out. We got a while for that though, Scott.
Well, we do a week show and it's the summer, so Melanie, I mean, you don't have to dog Kelton for his show producing abilities. I mean, he's the one that came up with. We should talk about the Springfield mayor's election 3 years from now. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Shot at Kelton right out of the gate
Jeez,
from Melanie.
Kelton.
Damn,
Sorry.
bringing heat. You gonna be okay, bud?
I guess I'll survive.
I think she thinks you have those headphones on, so she can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I can hear everything.
All right. The crime thing is interesting. I mean, Springfield's a bigger town. People know.
Yeah, and it was, when I was out talking to people, it was a lot of property crime. It was a lot of, things that are happening to them personally, not something, oh, I heard this was bad. I heard this happened. Yeah, trucks, sheds, just stealing things. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, sometimes people think the city of St. Louis is kind of like Beirut. I mean, it is. I mean, good Lord, you got like a 1 in 4 chance of getting shot just any time.
Sure.
What's Springfield now, like 1 in 20?
I don't know what the exact stats are, but I do think that
it have to be like a billion times safer than St. Louis.
It absolutely is safer than St. Louis, and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah. Even the parts that people say are safe of St. Louis are more dangerous than the parts that are the dangerous part of Springfield.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cheers to common sense. That's kind of knowledge. Doing
absolutely.
Good. Some people should listen to that. But yeah, though, that's the thing about St. Louis. It's the break-in and stuff, right? I mean, and it's kind of interesting. Springfield, the dangerous part is in the north, where St. Louis is kind of flipped, right? I guess that's not the case. The dangerous part of St. Louis is in the north. Kansas City's got like a dividing line on Troost, right? St. Louis has a dividing line on Del Mar. Where is the dividing line on Springfield, where you start to get into some dangerous areas?
I think that north, but I mean it shifts. Right. I mean, there was at the end of session, there was.
Are you just going to say Crystal's district?
Yeah.
Is the dangerous part? Because that's what everybody's thinking right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what street that is, but that's probably the dividing line, right?
Wherever that is.
Yeah, that's the marker. I drove up there and I know there's a part we should look at. Whoa, thought I was in Springfield. Wait a minute here. Well, again, I was shout out to Mother's Brewery, right?
Absolutely.
Jeff, I tell you, there's only one man in this state that I take a break from drinking my Bud Light with, and that's Jeff Schrag. I have a Mother's. I know he doesn't own it now, but in my mind, he owns it.
Yeah.
It's like when I think of my, you think of Skinner, I think of Ronnie Van Zant. Now I would like to go watch. It's not even like Skinner's a cover band now, but they have the right to call themselves Skinner. But it's none of the Skinner people. Nobody that sings "Sweet Old Alabama" is alive.
No.
The last guy, like the drummer, just died. So it's just a cover band, but it can call itself not a cover band, which respect to their bank accounts. I mean, that's awesome. Good for them. So down there, big race. A lot of folks saying that you'd be the right Republican to go run for state senate. Something you got to think about. Something you're doing.
I think I've got to get through 24 first. It's a competitive seat still, so we'll see what happens in 24. But
almost helps you, right? I mean, if you'll have to run a full out general election race.
100%.
Probably spend $150,000.
Absolutely, yeah.
That puts you in a good spot, I would think, to run for a state senate seat. I mean, that's a major investment in your name ID and you meeting folks. And
something to think about.
That folks that meet you in Springfield probably, obviously more of them leave impressed than don't, right?
Sure, and I think one thing that has become apparent to me, I wasn't involved in politics before I ran for office this time, did some advocacy work at the Capitol, but that was it. But this is important, and that seat will be important. And so I think making the right decision for who the candidate is, the right candidate, will be paramount.
Lincoln's kind of taken that seat and made it, I mean, like right there, I really believe, it was weird. There, Chuck Graham was a state senator. Kurt Schaefer beat him in the general election, unseated incumbent. He had a DW. Chuck was in a wheelchair. He had a DWI, and they filmed him driving a little erratically. It was watch Chuck drive. Shout out to Barklage. I'm sure. Like I don't know that, but it was Barklage. Was it watchchuckdrive.com or something? Drivedrunk.com. This has been the internet. Like there was websites and stuff. This was, I guess it would have been been 08. But like it was kind of innovative. They didn't have a website just to dog somebody. That took a little work, but it was, everybody watched it, and it was amazing to watch. And people were like, I always thought part of it was, Chuck was handicapped, and that people didn't quite. It was surprising to see him driving that way. So Kurt beat him, but it was a little erratic. But I'll tell you, when Missouri had their problems in 2015, if they had not had a Republican, that wasn't chair of the Appropriations Committee. I mean, they could have got gutted with all those things.
Mm.
And even but without Kurt Schaefer, that campus does not look like what it looks like today. This is before Moon. This is when you had just the terrible president that just didn't get it. And Lincoln, I mean, good Lord, what do you all do with all that money he brings to Springfield? My God.
Mm-hmm.
You start your own bank down there.
Yeah.
Shit. He's kind of taken that seat and made it a seat where I think the business community in Springfield realizes, okay, politics matters, doesn't matter, whatever. This kind of matters to have somebody that can bring this money home. Because, I mean, you kind of got a little bit used to getting your share, and you kind of reach over and you get, I don't know, Bolivar's share, and said, hell, you get more than your share coming back down 44. The governor does what he can to veto, but even heck, if he vetoes half of it, you're still per capita the most beneficial district in the state of Missouri. I think people in that business community figured out that's a good thing.
Sure. I think it's important to have someone who really cares about the things that matter for Springfield and highlight that.
And if you're a Democrat, difference between 10 and 11 or opposed to all that money, different things, right?
Sure. Very different.
All right. What else? What are you going to do next year?
Next year, I'll be still focusing on some healthcare things, just working to make sure that private business and healthcare and hospitals can do the jobs that they need to do and take care of our people well. And that people have choice in healthcare if they want to, go somewhere different for healthcare or that type of thing. I think is important.
I'm in Marf, right?
Yeah.
And I want to come up and talk to you about an issue I'm having. And I obviously, I'm going to drive in from Clark County.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stay the night. Where would you stay in Jefferson City if you wanted to be taken seriously by you?
I would say probably the Courtyard, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd stay in the Courtyard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what if somebody pops up, oh, I'm over the Hampton, and it'd be like, wow, I got stuff to do. I got a haircut at 3, and I got,
Yeah.
I mean, if you'll be taken seriously, take it. Look, right now, take a minute, pull your phone out. If you're going to go over to the State Fair, you're going to stop over the Capitol for some meetings beforehand. Either way, Courtyard by Marriott. Don't pull the move of, I'm going to be cheap and I'm going to save that $4 or whatever. Do me a favor. I'll tell you again. We'll start this deal again. If you're going to veto session, here there's a great party the night before veto session. Bust out your wallet right now. Reach into it. And you get online here. Do yourself a favor. I'm gonna up the game here since I don't have a 50 and say if you're out there and you book the Courtyard and it's cost you $20 more to book it, right? Because it might. I mean, look, we're not Republicans here. I mean, stuff that's better costs more. It just does. This is real life, not Candyland. If it's not $20 better, you come find me and I will give you $100. I promise you. And then if not, I'll tell you what, I will buy you. If this works out great, you buy me a Bud Light as your travel agent, or you can, if you're like homophobic about stuff. I mean, here's the thing. Look at this. This is Lou Hamilton. This is it's so funny when you go to St. Louis and you go to Gypsies and people say, oh, John Barget. And of course, well, yes, I do. Well, everybody's like, I'm John Barget's best friend, and I've learned that John Barget does not have 4,000 best friends in St. Louis. John Barget has, I don't know all, but I know Lou Hamilton would qualify as one of his best friends. Lou Hamilton got his picture on the Budweiser bottle for his birthday like 2 summers ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, like legit. I mean, when I say Lou Hamilton knows what's up, Lou Hamilton is the man. But all respect to Lou Hamilton. But he had his face on this bottle at his birthday party.
Yeah.
Is that some bar in South City? I don't know. There's 2 different types of bars in South City. There's hipster. There's like cool people bars like this was at that have Bud Light. Or there's like hipster bars. And I'm just thinking the Bud Light trans whatever worked out so wonderfully for me because 2 reasons. A, Bud Light's on sale now. No one's ever out of Bud Light.
No.
And I just thought all these little hipster South City bars now would not be transphobic and they would stock Bud Light. But I'm telling you, most of the South City hipster bars are very, very, very transphobic. No Bud Light at all, which really hurts my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think it's wrong to be that level of transphobic.
I see how that's rough for you.
Very much rough for me.
Yeah.
And the cause and the movement of me wanting to drink Bud Light at hipster crappy places I don't even want to be at.
Sure.
But nobody said crap about Lou Hamilton getting on the bottle.
No.
One, I don't even
Never
know the
heard
person's
that.
name. Whatever. I don't want to call somebody the pronoun or whatever that is, you know. But anyhow, let's. We should probably wrap this up. I again thank you to Bud Light for the marketing campaign that has really been all upside for me. I hate it for you transphobes in South City. I wish you would open your minds to more inclusive thought, like the High Street Pub has. As Barkley's calling me, probably telling me he didn't actually do the Chuck Graham thing. You know, it'd be dope if we just answered this. I wouldn't do that to me though, but it would be awesome to just answer this right now. I mean, because all of you know, if you're watching this, David Barkley's callback rate is just. I actually find it's easier to drive to his office and talk to him. He hung up real quick. It's probably easier to drive to Barkley's. I had a little cottage industry one time when I had a condo right around in the Clayton there.
Mm-hmm.
I would just walk the phone into his office and be like, here you go. He'd be like, I mean, sorry, man, it's a buddy of mine. He wants to talk to you. So all of you, I mean, I'm not trying to like build myself up, but I did just get a call back from David Barkley at 3:46 p.m. on a Tuesday to me and to Lou.
Yeah.
David, if you're watching, which I'm sure you're not because you're calling me, I will call you back. It'll be the latest tag in a lengthy call back and forth, not answering. But that would have been great to just answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Next time we should probably just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, so next session, what happens?
Well, I think it'll be interesting. You know, it'll be my first session of an election year, so I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Less happens, right?
Probably.
I mean, it's going to be kind of hard when you got Kehoe and like the crew of people that support him in the state senate it's a crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can spot them.
Sure.
The crew of people that supports Eigel are in a crew.
Sure.
Crew of people that supports Ashcroft probably won't. You know, that won't matter for the legislative politics as much. But I think those two square off. It just gridlocks a little bit.
Sure.
You know, when it comes down to it. Now you have a senator, Holly Rader's running. Your speaker is running.
That's right.
I don't know if he said what for you, but everybody assumes he's running for lieutenant governor against her. That means you're going to have how many people in the boot hill running for state senate?
Oh,
Holly
yeah.
Rader it used to be a Cape County thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talking about too. Holly Rader's running. You know Holly Rader now.
Mm-hmm.
But she's a ball of talent.
Sure.
I mean, I think too. You know, Keely Broughton hasn't announced yet.
Yeah.
And I've always said on here, look, I don't. He's not said publicly what he's going to do. He hasn't told me, but those jobs are hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hard.
Mm-hmm.
Those leadership jobs are just. I remember Schmidt and Dempsey,
Mm-hmm.
two very talented folks. Similar, could raise money, great guys. Everyone respected. Dempsey went in leadership, and then he, was done.
Mm-hmm.
Was just worn out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then Schmidt did not go into leadership, and now he's a senator of a whole different flavor now, right?
Sure.
I think, man, you almost need some time.
Sure.
And nobody has poured more himself into it. I always thought Elijah Hart got a terrible break from his time. I mean, he served during the most toughest times, and I never thought he got his due for just doing the job and being in the chair during wildly bizarre, like everything that could have happened. A damn pandemic, governors resigning, speakers. I mean, just anything you couldn't write. If you had a reality show that was this time of legislature, people are like bullshit. That didn't happen. Nobody's gonna believe that. I never thought he got his due because I mean he had his hand on the wheel during some insane stuff.
He sure did.
And Caleb has had the hardest run of Senate leadership maybe in the history of the damn since the Civil War, probably. Frankly, if you just think about all the norms of the Senate that evaporated, that he had to somehow make the trains run on time, and for the most part has. It's messy as it should be. I wonder if he runs. And with Speaker Plocker, it's tough. I don't think you could be speaker then a statewide candidate and have them both go well.
Sure.
I think you almost be a statewide candidate and start to let go of some of the wheel, which luckily for him, he's got a guy in John Patterson, runs a cool engine, smart guy. You think somebody run against him for speaker?
Time will tell. I don't think it would be smart.
I think coming out of session, someone could have ran.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know from
timeline is getting tight.
Patterson's the guy that is just the way he handles himself is very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's hard to get like he's so smart. You get too far to one side of him, it's like well he is a smart guy, and then he's played it and got some allies that are kind of on the kooky side. So on the kooky side of him, it's like this guy vouches for him and stuff, and he's he's done policies that we want,
Mm-hmm.
but he can actually get them done because he's a smart guy and he can talk to this other side. I think he's kind of in that space where it's hard to get to either side of him
Sure.
because of how he carries and the coalition he's put together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very smart.
I feel like there was a time when, like in the scriptures, to quote Carla May, quote in the scriptures, the waters were troubled a little bit, and I could see somebody diving right in and putting together a coalition that he probably win. Patterson probably wins, but they could have maybe rose a little bit of the. They could have made a run. I think he got out and hustled and went and saw probably the 20 people you would need if you were going to be a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and they probably just decided, I don't think it's worth it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see him having a race where he's in danger.
Yeah.
But really, I'm not so sure somebody running doesn't help him.
Hmm.
He probably wins it. But I'm like you. That's things that are interesting to talk about at the bar at the end of session. Saying like something you should do it. It's like I've watched people that run for the leadership races, and they'll say, "Well, you'd be great at that,"
Mm-hmm.
and they'll walk out. Oh, put down Representative Snett is a hard yes. And it's like, no. She didn't say she's voting for you. She said you would be great at it. And so it's always interesting to talk to her leadership, and you can just tell by their hard count. It's like, this person's gonna get stomped. Because that hard count's like way off. It's like, people that took a meeting with you, you've got down as a yes. Oh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think that there won't be much in that regard, and I think you're gonna need, Dean Plocker's gonna if he's gonna commit to do this, running statewide. It's an awfully long drive.
Sure.
From my place in Stringtown, Missouri, to Zell Fisher's place up in Rockport,
Mm-hmm.
or really Watson, Missouri, which is a rural town outside of Rockport.
Mm-hmm.
People think Tarkio is the county seat. It is not. Zell will tell you. Rockport, at the courthouse where they provide Zell an office to this day to work out of.
Wow.
Yes, as they should. But anyhow, long story short, I do think it's a very, very big state, very hard to run statewide. It'll be interesting to see how, you don't see many speakers. And matter of fact, the two speakers that did run statewide did not win. Catherine Hanaway, Steve Gaw. Jim Kreider ran for Senate, didn't win, but Ron Richard, he did win his Senate seat. But that statewide race is so different, so tough.
Mm-hmm.
The state's so diverse. It'll be interesting to see how, I really think if Dean Plocker, and I think he is running statewide, if he's successful, I think it'll be interesting to see. One of the main reasons he'll be successful is John Patterson can start to take over some things and allow him to do what you had to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if you can really do both all in.
Sure.
Like, Dean's a vampire, obviously. He's like 50 and he looks 30, but there's just so many hours in the day, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Anyhow, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We should do Who Won the Week.
Who won the week?
I'll start.
Okay.
I think this Mark Maxwell guy from KSDK is a ginger reporter, a left-wing guy out of St. Louis. I think he thinks I don't like him. I don't like many St. Louisans, and I sure don't like Chicago. This is not you. It's about the Cubs, frankly. I know you probably say I'm not Cubs fan. They all say they're White Sox fans. They haven't burned Wrigley yet, so I mean, let's be real. I like the hustle in this dude, right? He's kind of fun to give a little shit to because he's real sensitive. Like gingers are kind of sensitive. Holzman was very sensitive, as you all will remember. We need some. I got a Holzman shirt, and we got to hang that up in here somewhere. But they get real sensitive. And Germans, we're just damn, we're not that. Well, I am lately, but for the most part, not. And so Tashara Jones on the radio and says, "Hope nobody sunshines my phone." Well, so he sunshined her phone, which I respect that hustle. That's awesome. But then she responded and gave a bunch of text messages, right?
Yeah.
Who the hell would have thought? Like, if I sunshined your phone, I assume you're gonna be like, we have nothing that fits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are just gonna lie. I mean, they just are. Everybody. I'm not saying she'll lie, but I mean, everybody would lie. Well, Tashara Jones, like, somehow in that office, they like leaked them all out, including her mocking my spelling, which he tweeted like, I'm going to be, yes, I'm not good at spelling. I'm actually bad. She said that straight to my face, just like that. You can't spell for shit, Faughn. So my feelings, to the extent they exist, were in no way encumbered by the pointing out the freaking obvious point that I would misspell Doug. I would misspell Flat Doug. I would misspell Flat Doug Beck, probably all three words if I was driving and trying to text him. So I say kudos to Tashara Jones, because the truth is, I don't think she gives a damn. I don't think she minds at all. I think it's totally great. The next people I got to say is, you got a co-op, right?
Yeah.
What's your co-op? Are you on Ozark?
Ozark Electric?
Now, I guess you're on the municipal power company there in town, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But you're on Ozark out on the farm.
Yeah.
You got to go to the annual meeting.
Okay.
Now that you're expanding your horizons, we're talking about you running for Senate. You got to hit these. The co-ops are on the best association in the state. This is the United Electric Co-op, Maryville, outside St. Joseph, one of the best fiber outfits you could ever find. Just, I mean, they want them to come in the city. They're so good.
Nice.
It's like the opposite of the whole space-time could probably continue has been upset by United Electric Co-op with their broadband lines. This is their giveaway. Now, I don't know how many co-op annual meetings you've been to.
None.
We're coming up on the season. Caleb Jones is about to put some miles on that truck going to co-op annual meetings. They're usually in August. I never understand why they're not before the primary, right? Everyone would come to that stuff. I mean, if you go to a co-op meeting, you're definitely voting. If you're going to vote for the co-op and get free stuff, like at Ozark Board, they have fried pies. It's a whole big thing. It's at the college. Everybody gets free stuff. I'm just going to say, Stan Estes, I love you, man. I love you so much. But Stan,
it's a nice gift.
This is a co-op gift
yes.
that is like next level. And so I've heard the story. Jim's told me the story about how they had them delivered to the post office. They didn't have anything that could move them. They were too big to move.
Oh, wow.
So they had to like get a forklift and roll down the street with them and stuff.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
it was just a big cluster of problems.
Yeah.
Because they're too heavy.
Sure.
Feel that thing. Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Real deal.
Yeah. I mean, that's legit stuff. I mean, it's
nice.
No doubt. I have never seen a co-op gift just like that. The problem is you take that home, do something wrong to the wife, and you could have United Co-op like stand on the side of your head one day. I wonder how many folks Lager. I bet Lager didn't want to bring them home, because I know Lager owns enough property that something up there is on United, probably everything. But I'll bet old Senator Lager, he probably saw that co-op gift. Thought, first of all, damn, that's a nice co-op gift, and second, do I want to take that home? Because I mean, how many guys like that next weekend stayed out a little too late? The next morning, they're at the implement dealer with United Co-op somehow stamped in their head from smarting up. I mean, that thing does grip well. You know?
It does.
Well, Melody, Stennett. I've heard so many people pronounce that both ways.
Sure.
Stennett is the right way to do it. Don't screw it up. Don't screw up your hotel reservations. Go to the Courtyard by Marriott. Book all 3 nights. Come in for the roast of Knight and Houks.
Yes.
How great is that? Bert and Ernie.
Wonderful.
Right there.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be so awesome. I mean, you know, I just wanna. I mean, it's so nice that Kenny Ross gave them the night off to come. I wonder how much paperwork they had to fill out to get permission. I think we're gonna have such a good time making fun of them. I actually think I'm going to. Where you see Daniel House, I think I will be emceeing this event as John Barget in my John Barget voice, because you, sir, are an outstanding legislator for the people of Warrensburg, which he kind of is. But you think about House, like you think, well, wow, he's a talented guy, right? No, his family founded Warrensburg. There's literally a street named House in Warrensburg. If you look up the history of Johnson County, which I've done, essentially his family founded the damn place. I'm surprised he didn't get every vote. You know, no, I like Dan, but we're gonna have fun at his expense for a long time. The Monday, the 11th, the 12th, I hear there's a party going on. Could be some pianos involved, and then Vito says you the next day. Come in for 3 days. Go to the Courtyard. Call them. Look, they're probably sold out. So call me, text me. I'll do what I can do. I can't make promises. I can't like build new rooms. I'll do what I can do. If not, you got to do the right thing, man. If you want to meet somebody, get up early, go to the Courtyard, have breakfast, act like you've been there, you know, wear your like gym clothes, some you slept in, so it looks like you stayed there, then go back to your crappy hotel and then reshuffle the dice. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Took a 2-week break. I loved it. It was wonderful. I've got Crystal Quaid this week. Next week, we have Andrew Caney. We're going to have some representatives of 3 Republican campaigns for governor there fighting it out, which should be fun. Maybe get Barclays. It'd be dope. I mean, can you imagine like a Barclays, Lakin, Lemke?
Okay. Because
Lemke would come in there throwing, which would be hilariously funny and awesome. Then the week after, I'm out and Baker's in. No. I don't know what he's going to do. I have no idea. I mean, it could totally be. I have no clue what Baker's going to do. I mean, we could have a Jeff Rose. Ted Cruz could be on the show 2 weeks from now with Aaron Baker. I really don't have a clue. I'm hoping he gets people like Baker knows so many people that you wouldn't know. Because, I mean, like, if they hire Axiom, you know they know it, right? Or that for lobbying or for but I bet there's some people that we don't know that Baker knows that I'm hoping he like wild card. He's never hosted the show before. It's gonna be kind of fun to watch what he does. Plus, it'll be funny to watch Baker be all game showy because he has that ability. He just he comes kind of hard ass a lot. But on television is going to be great. I'm actually looking forward to watching the show with Baker hosting it, and I'm hoping I could be somewhere sunny and warm. Anyway, thank you guys very much. I'll see you Sunday with Representative gubernatorial candidate